In the high-stakes world of biotech, it's all about billion-dollar breakthroughs or, well, going back to the drawing board. But what happens when a single company tries to use one drug to fight two of the toughest diseases out there? That's what we're digging into today.
So let's talk about DiaMedica Therapeutics. They're a clinical-stage biopharma company, which means they're right in the thick of it, developing treatments for really serious conditions, the kind where patients just don't have a lot of good options. And they think they've got something pretty special to pull it off.
And this really brings us to the core question of this whole story. I mean, think about it. Can one single drug actually tackle two of medicine's hardest puzzles at the same time? It's a hugely ambitious goal, and how they're trying to do it is absolutely fascinating.
The drug at the heart of all this is called DM199. And what's so cool about it is where it comes from. This isn't some totally new chemical cooked up in a lab. It's a synthetic version of a protein our own bodies make called KLK1. Its whole job is to help our blood vessels relax and get the blood flowing. You can kind of think of it as a natural tune-up for your entire vascular system.
This is where the company's grand plan comes into focus, and we're calling it a battle on two fronts. DiaMedica is using this one drug, DM199, to go after two completely different but equally serious conditions: a dangerous pregnancy complication called preeclampsia and acute ischemic stroke.
So let's start with that first front, the fight against preeclampsia. This is a life-threatening condition, and right now, there are no approved drug treatments for it. None. The only cure is to deliver the baby, which often has to happen way too early. But DiaMedica's early data is hinting at a real potential breakthrough.
In the first part of their trial, they saw exactly what you'd hope to see. First, a real, measurable drop in the mother's blood pressure. On top of that, it also helped ease up blood flow in the uterine artery. Now, what that really means, and this is the key part, is that it looks like more blood is getting to the placenta, which is just critical for the baby's health.
Okay, so the drug seems to work. But when you're treating a pregnant woman, there's one question about safety that trumps everything else. And this, right here, is where the story gets incredibly compelling.
The company's chief medical officer, Dr. Julie Kropp, basically announced that the drug did not cross the placental barrier. Let me just say that again. It treats the mom without reaching the baby. They also found it doesn't transfer through breast milk. In a field where the baby's safety is everything, this is a massive, massive potential advantage.
So you're thinking, okay, the science is looking solid, the safety profile is incredible. What could possibly go wrong? Well, this is biotech, and there's always a twist. A major regulatory roadblock has popped up, and it's coming from the United States.
And you can see the split right here. You've got Health Canada, who looked at the data and said, yep, green light, go ahead and start your global trial. But then you have the US FDA, and they slammed on the brakes. They've put things on pause, asking for another safety study before any US trials can get going.
And here's the bizarre reason why. The roadblock is what we're calling the rabbit problem. See, the FDA asked for a standard safety study in rabbits. But it turns out because this is a human protein, it kind of freaked out the rabbits' immune systems. They had an unexpected reaction that makes them a totally unsuitable animal for this particular test. So DiaMedica literally can't do the study the FDA asked for, and now they're working to find another way forward.
Okay, so while they're trying to solve that regulatory puzzle in the US, let's not forget, they're fighting a war on two fronts. And over on that second front, the stroke trial, they are making some serious headway. Their big stroke trial, which is called ReMEDy2, is hitting some key milestones. Look at this. They've already enrolled nearly 70% of the 200 patients they need for a crucial check-in on the data. This means they are getting super close to their first major data reveal for this program. And the progress has been really positive. After the first 100 patients were treated, an independent safety board took a look at all the data and gave them a huge thumbs up, a unanimous vote to keep the trial going just as it is. Now they're pushing to get to that 200 patient mark, aiming to get that important analysis done in the second half of 2026.
All right, but fighting this kind of two-front war, that's not cheap, especially in the biotech world. Which brings us to the multi-million-dollar question for any company like this. Do they have enough fuel for the fight? Enough cash in the bank?
So let's look inside their war chest. At the end of last year, the company reported having $59.9 million in cash and short-term investments.
Okay, so what does that number actually mean in the real world? It means they have a cash runway that's expected to fund everything, all their planned operations, these huge clinical trials, all the way into late 2027. For a company at this stage, that is a position of serious strength. It lets them focus on the science without constantly worrying about fundraising.
So let's pull all of this together and look at the road ahead, because 2026 is shaping up to be an absolutely pivotal year for DiaMedica, with several key moments that are going to define the next chapter of their story.
Here's what you need to be watching for this year. In the first half, they're expecting to wrap up the current part of the preeclampsia trial. Then, in the second quarter, they plan to start a separate but related study for fetal growth restriction. After that, they'll kick off that new global preeclampsia trial, starting up in Canada. And of course, the big one for the stroke program, completing that interim data analysis in the second half of the year.
And so that leaves us right here. The science is showing incredible promise on two really important fronts, and the company is well funded to keep that fight going. But the key challenge remains: can DiaMedica successfully navigate this major regulatory hurdle with the FDA to unlock the full potential of this drug and deliver a true medical breakthrough? The next year is really going to give us some answers, and you can bet we'll be watching.